You're watching another Rider Nation Station presentation brought to you by TSC and these following fine sponsors.
Welcome everyone to Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio for the Rider Nation Station broadcast of the Division III Regional Quarterfinal game between the Franklin Wildcats and the St. Mary's Rough Riders. I'm Joe Hurlbert, and I'll be bringing you all the play-by-play action of tonight's Division III quarterfinal game. Alongside me, Zach Farrell. And Zach, we got here rather early. The field is in excellent shape, artificial surface. Two evenly matched teams, I believe, and it should be a good ball game tonight.
Yeah, Joe, you know, this is temperatures hovering around 32 degrees. This is the football weather for the big uglies, as we used to call them up front, the linemen. You know, the bruises will hurt a little bit more, but this is a type of weather and playoff football, the type of atmosphere that you look for. Both of these teams are going to have pretty excellent rushing attacks. And so you don't have to rely as much on the passing in this cold weather. And I think we're going to see a lot of smash-mouth football.
Well, the Franklin Wildcats come in with an overall record of 9-1 overall. They were 6-0 in the Southwestern Buckeye League. They're on a 7-game win streak. Their only loss came to Xenia back in week number 3, I believe, by a score of 27-20. Their head coach is Brad Childers. He's been there 6 years and has compiled a record of 35 wins and 18 losses. And if you heard Doug Fry, the Doug Fry show this week, Doug has a little bit of history with Coach Childers because they coached together on the Ohio All-Star Games. So they know each other. They're familiar with each other. But nonetheless, when you look at Franklin, when we talked about them earlier this week, the one thing that sticks out as far as Franklin is concerned is they have a big offensive line. And they are anchored by Nick Back, who is a senior at 310 pounds and 6'5", I believe.
The good news for the St. Mary's Rough Riders, Joe, is that we've been saying that all year with the different teams that have come around. Oh, look at this team. Look how big they are. Look how big these guys are. Oh, my gosh, this is a big team. And each time the speed of the St. Mary's offense and defensive lines and linebackers has seemed to overcome that size. So we're hoping that St. Mary's can do that again tonight.
Well, as we look across their offensive front, as I said, Nick Back is the largest of the front five, and he's at 310 at 6'5". Their center, Cajun Allen, is 305 pounds. The right guard is 260 pounds, and the right tackle is 235. But when you talk about the Franklin Wildcats, it's very simple. They are led by their senior quarterback, Braden Woods, who is averaging, who has completed 93 of 158 passes for 1,421 yards on the season, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But not only can he pass, but he can run the football. He's had 123 carries for 554 yards and 6 touchdowns. So as Braden Wood goes, so do the Franklin Wildcats.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched a lot of film before tonight, and they have an interesting-looking offense. They run a lot of shotgun, but they don't necessarily spread it out as much as a Kenton would. For St. Mary's fans, they run a similar look as Van Wert maybe. So you're going to see out of the shotgun a lot of runs, a lot of rushes by Braden Woods, and also a lot of rushes by Gage Johnson. But Braden Woods has also thrown for 1,000 yards and 16 touchdowns, so you can't sleep on that either. Just not quite as you're not going to see 650 yards of passing, I hope, like we did against Kenton. But you're gonna see a nice balance with that. However, as you pointed out, as goes the Braden Woods, really goes their offense. So if St. Mary's can find a way to efficiently stop Braden Woods and Gage Johnson, they can really stop almost the entire offensive production for Franklin this year.
Zach, you mentioned Gage Johnson. He's a senior as well. 130 carries on this season. He leads his team in rushing, but he's not a 1,000-yard rusher. He's gained 837 yards on the season for 16 touchdowns. So here's the key for the Rough Rider defense. Stop Braden Woods, stop Gage Johnson, and most likely you'll be successful in this one in the long run.
Yeah, I saw that 16 touchdowns really jumped out at me. That's a lot of touchdowns and only 800 yards on those 16 touchdowns. So it tells me that they're going to spread it out. If they got a longer field, they're going to spread it out and look to pass more, but look for a lot of quarterback rushes with Braden Woods. And as they get into the red zone, they're going to tighten things up and hand things off more to Gage Johnson in the red zone, where he's racking up probably a lot of those rushes because he doesn't really have a ton of receiving yards. So Gage Johnson is definitely more of a power rusher in the red zone for them.
On the defensive side, they'll run basically a 5-man front. They're led by their middle guard, Nate Passmore, who's also a senior. This is a very senior-laden ball club. They rely a lot on their seniors, and a lot of their seniors go both ways. Gage Johnson will go both ways. Some of their offensive linemen may go both ways, but really, this is a 2-platoon ball club, and so that means that a lot of them don't go both ways, but some will. But in the long run, the big offensive linemen, they'll get an opportunity to rest because they're not playing on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I noticed in some of the film that this Franklin club has seen some teams that are run the wing T. I will say, fortunately for St. Mary's, that they don't run the wing T the same way that St. Mary's does. It's a lot more of a zone blocking wing T from a lot of these teams. Not quite as quick, doesn't have the same kind of pace. But in those games, they had pretty good side-to-side speed. It just seemed to be that when some of those teams could take advantage of finding a seam and it would run vertical, they would give up 15, 20 yards a carry. I'm hoping St. Mary's can take advantage of that tonight. They are going to run a 5 lineman front. They're going to have linebackers in the box, probably similar to a Shawnee or Kenton does a similar style, but Kenton actually tilts their nose tackle, and Franklin didn't do anything like that. So it's more of a nothing that St. Mary's hasn't seen. Loading the box with a lot of guys. We'll see what Doug Fry has in his toolkit to maybe take advantage of that with some of the long passing plays, which have definitely been helpful for St. Mary's this year.
And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the St. Mary's Rough Riders of Doug Fry right after this. Even though the music on the patio has come to an end, Guarneri's would like to thank everyone for joining them on the patio on Friday nights. Though the music has ended, stop in and try their signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, or calzone. Guarneri's on Spring Street in St. Mary's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244. Vogel's Bake Shop, making thousands of fresh donuts daily, open 7 days a week with stores in St. Mary's, Salina, and Walpock. Also now found in Wagner's IGA in New Bremen, Minster, and Fort Laramie.
If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, your job is made easy with Scott Ross Realty. Contact one of their hardworking, well-trained agents today at 419-305-4373 for all of your home buying and selling needs. Scott Ross Realty, wishing all Rough Rider sports good luck.
Now the Franklin High School band is getting ready to play the national anthem. We'll listen to them as they do the national anthem. Franklin High School Marching Band playing the national anthem here before this crowd here at Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium. Joe Herbert alongside Zach Farrell. Glad to have you along. The St. Mary's fan will be boisterous because they're right below us here. The Franklin Wildcat fans obviously across the way. But when we take a look at the ball club, two ball clubs coming in, we've taken a look at the Franklin Wildcats. Let's take a look at the St. Mary's Rough Riders for tonight's contest. The Rough Riders come in averaging 33.6 points per ball game. And with that being said, I can't see a thing. They are led offensively by Kurt Bupp at quarterback, and what a change he has made. He has completed 26 of 46 passes for 495 yards, 9 touchdowns, but more importantly, Zach, no interceptions, and that's big.
Yeah, we're looking again. We said it all year. The best thing about Kurt Bupp has been his decision-making and his lack of making mistakes. So, Joe, I noticed during the national anthem, you could hear through the mic a lot of the generators running on the St. Mary's side because they've got propane heaters for their hands. So, that's gonna be important in this type of temperature, that your wide receivers and your quarterback are keeping their hands warm so that they're not dropping some of those hard passes out there.
Absolutely. Offensively as well, Ty Howell has carried the majority of the running attack for the Rough Riders. He comes in with 97 carries, 611 yards. 6 touchdowns. He's averaging 6.3 yards per carry. Also, Ethan Wedding, 543 yards rushing on 88 carries, 5 touchdowns, and he's averaging 6.2 points per carry, or 6.2 yards per carry. So, nonetheless, I think the Rough Riders obviously will stick to their ground attack. They'll establish that throughout the night, and of course, when needed, they will call upon senior Kurt Bupp to find his receivers like Carson Fishbach and Ty Howell out of the backfield. And so we're just about ready to get things started here at Veteran Memorial Field, Atrium Stadium,
Yeah,
Franklin, Ohio.
Carson Fishbach, really, his catches last week, just unbelievable, Joe, down there at the end of the
Absolutely.
half. That's interesting because we haven't seen that very much this year.
No.
He's really just come forward now, and what a great video for the other team's coaches to be seeing, because now all of a sudden they got to start game planning for number 8 being down the field, because and as long as Kurt Bupp can make the type of fade throws like he did down there at the end zone, the type of finding him, halfway down on that kind of out and up route that he ran. As long as the Rough Riders can connect on a couple of those, that just keeps the defense back a little bit, so that they have to respect the St. Mary's passing game enough that the St. Mary's rushing game can hopefully get going without so many defenders there close to the line.
The Franklin Wildcats won the toss. They elected to defer to the second half, so the Rough Riders will get possession of the football to start this ball game. The Franklin Wildcats are in their home black uniforms with white numerals with red and white trim, black helmets. The Rough Riders in their traveling gold pants, blue and white trim, white jerseys, blue numerals, gold helmets. Ryan Thacker will do the kicking off for the Franklin Wildcats, back deep to receive the kickoff is Ty Howell, Braden Hemmelgarn, and
looks like number 11.
Number 11. And this game is underway, and it's going to go to Dylan Troglin at the goal line. Troglin to the 10, to the 15, where he is brought down.
Yeah, Troglin just took it back there a little bit too far and wasn't able to catch up to his line. Franklin did a good job of going around the lines and taking him down before he really had an opportunity to get very far.
So the Rough Riders will have the ball, 1st and 10. The ball will be setting at their own 14-yard line, just underway from Veteran Memorial Field. I want to tell you that kickoff return was brought to you by your State Farm agent, Laura Yelton. Be a legend and insure your life. Kurt Bupp calls the signals. He'll give the ball, I believe, to Aiden Hinkle. Hinkle will get a couple. And it'll be second down, and we'll call it about 7. So it'll be 2nd and 7. Dylan Roby for the Riders will be wide to the right. Hinkle up the middle again that was Ross Henshin into the ball game.
Looks like Rough Riders trying to get Ross Henshin started again like he came out last week.
Now here comes Hunter Fraley into the ball game. So three plays, 3 different fullbacks. So we'll call it 3rd down and 7 for St. Mary's.
Early emphasis on the right up the middle, inside running by the Rough Riders.
Dylan Roby goes wide to the right, split backfield behind Bupp. He'll turn, and we've got a whistle on the play.
Encroachment.
And it'll be a penalty on Franklin. So we'll move the ball forward 5 yards. We'll make it 3rd down and 2 for St. Mary's. Ross Henshin into the ball game for St. Mary's. He'll be at fullback. Kurt Bupp runs in from the sideline with the play from head coach Doug Fry. 3rd down and 2 for the Rough Riders. Roby will go way wide to the right. Bupp calls the signals. Turns. He'll give the ball to Henshin. Henshin will be close to a 1st down. We'll see where they mark the football.
Yeah, Henshin with just a nice little fullback dive over the right side of the line. And got stopped, but got enough.
It is a 1st down for the Rough Riders. A new set of downs. The ball will be placed at the Rough Rider 25-yard line. Joe Hurlbert, Zach Farrell, Rider Nation Station. Glad to have you along for this Division III Region 12 quarterfinal playoff game. Bupp will turn, give the ball to Ty Howe. Ty Howe sweeps the short side of the field, picks up about 10 on the play. He's going to be close to a 1st down before he's run out of bounds.
Just a good old-fashioned hard-nosed sweep there. Guards did a great job. Number 20.
We're going to call it 2nd down and 1, so give Ty Howe a gain of 9 on the play. Roby will go wide to the left. Wedding in the slot. Will turn, give the ball to Henshin, right up the middle to the 50. And he is tackled at the 48-yard line of Franklin. So a good run by Ross Henshin right up the gut on the trap play.
Ross Henshin runs those traps like a halfback in a fullback's body. He comes through the hole like a fullback, but then he looks to see who he can juke on that 2nd level, which doesn't usually happen with your fullback. The fullback's usually the bruiser who just looks to run the next guy over. It's really interesting. It's more of a shake in the fullback position than I've seen in a long time. And there's your bruiser, Aiden Hinkle, taking the ball that time.
Yeah. Aiden Hinkle for maybe a yard on the play. Right up the middle. 9 minutes remaining here in the 1st quarter. Dylan Roby will go wide to the right, split backfield behind Bupp. Bupp will turn, counter back with Ty Howe. He'll duck under a tackle and get a couple of yards. So we'll call it 3rd down and about 7 for St. Mary's. The ball setting at the Franklin 45-yard line.
Unfortunately, haven't seen that counter work very well at all this year for St. Mary's.
Carson Fishbach checks in for the Rough Riders. May set up a passing play. We'll have to wait and see what Coach Fry has relayed to the huddle. Fishbach to the left. Bupp, 5-step drop. He'll be tackled for a loss. Good pressure there by the Franklin Wildcats.
Yeah, he didn't have much time to set up and pass. He did step up into the pocket nicely. I think he thought he had more time than he did, though, because he got taken down from behind by one of those same rushers.
Proctor was in on the tackle. Cyree Williams will be back to receive the punt. Bowers gets the punt away. It's a low kick. It'll take a bounce at about the 16. Williams will pick up the ball. And he's going to be tackled by Lucas Walter inside the 5. Wait a minute. They're going to mark him at about the 7-yard line, which makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Wow, that's pretty generous. You look in the replay there. He may have been at the 6-yard line when he was when the tackle was initiated, but it wasn't one of those plays where he was really like driven back. He was still kind of moving as he fell back before the 5-yard line. That's a pretty generous spot, if you ask me.
Senior quarterback Braden Woods, under center Cajun Allen. Wood, a left-handed quarterback, will give the ball. They'll keep the ball, fake to Johnson, and he'll get maybe 3 on the play. Clock continues to run. 7 minutes and 22 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Wood in the shotgun. Gage Johnson behind him, the lone setback. 2 receivers to the left, 2 receivers to the right.
This is that pistol formation, Joe. Ohio State ran it a few years ago with Terrell Pryor. But you'll see they'll step up there in a lot of different positions out of it.
There's a snap. He's going to throw the football. He's flushed out of the pocket. Pass is intended.
Looks like number 13.
That is Tyler Woods, but it's incomplete. And that'll bring up 3rd down, and we'll call it 7. Braden Woods, left-handed quarterback, in the shotgun. He has Gage Johnson to his left, the lone setback. Riders are putting pressure on him. He's looking downfield. The pass is caught. No, it's incomplete. The pass was intended for number 7.
Wow. I thought he caught it, and then just at the end of the play there, you see the ball laying next to the receiver instead of in his hands, and official came in real quick and said it's incomplete.
Pass was intended for Dylan Dirks. Ball's incomplete. I thought he had it as well. The punter is Zach Johnson. Back to receive the punt for the Rough Riders, standing at their own 47-yard line is Dylan Troglin and Ty Howell. Both are dangerous return men. There's the punt. Low spiral. Troglin will take it. It's to the 45 of Franklin. He's going to burst the field. He's coming back, and he breaks the tackle. He's still on his feet, and he's finally brought down at the Franklin 38-yard line.
Well, that's some good trade-off there for St. Mary's. You punt the ball about your own 45, and now you hold them, and now you get the ball back about the other team's 39. So gain about 6 yards in the time of possession.
Hunter Fraley checks in at fullback for the Rough Riders. Ethan Freewalt will go wide to the right. Dylan Troglin wide to the left. 2 setbacks behind. Will give the ball to Howell. Howell's going to sweep to the left, and he's still on his feet. He'll get to about the 33-yard line of Franklin before he's shoved out of bounds. Clock continues to run. 6:11 to go here in the first quarter.
I tell you what's amazing about that, Joe. That was a designed dive. That was a dive off of the tackle. That was similar to the touchdown that Ty Howell scored a couple weeks ago, where he didn't see anything inside. He decided to bounce it out, and he's fast enough to make that work.
Freewalt wide left, Howell wide right. Quick pitch. It'll go to Ross Henson. Henson to the 20. He's going to cut back to the 15, and he is knocked down at about the 14-yard line, 13-yard line of Franklin. Good run by Ross Henson.
You know, it's almost as if he's a little shorter, a little smaller. It's almost as if he can fit really nice in between behind the guards and stay hidden.
Extremely quick. Henson gets the ball. He'll go up the middle. He's tackled there for little and no gain. So the big defensive front of Franklin stops Henshin for no gain, so we'll call it 2nd down and 10, 5:34 remaining. Ball is at the Franklin 13-yard line.
Yeah, so far not a lot of yards up the middle, but you're not going to see Doug Fry come away from that because
No, absolutely not.
he needs that inside threat to be able to set up the outside plays.
Absolutely. Freewalt wide to the right. Ty Howell sweeps left. He's to the 6-yard line before he's knocked out of bounds. Maybe they'll mark it at the 7. So good fake up the middle to Henshin and sweep to the left by Ty Howell. .454 remaining on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Joe Hurlbert along with Zach Farrell. Freewalt wide to the left, turn, pitch it to Henshin. Henshin follows his blocks. He's going to be stopped at about the 5-yard line.
It's going to bring up a big choice here on 4th down for Doug Fry. It's going to be about 4th and 2. No points on the board yet for either team.
Kurt Bupp out there leading the blocking as well. So it'll be 4th down, and we'll call it 3 at the Franklin 6-yard line. Bupp calls the signals. Long count, he'll turn, give the ball to Howell. Howell's going to sweep, and a touchdown! I believe touchdown.
Yes, touchdown.
Touchdown, Ty Howell.
He tight-roped all the
Yes,
way
he did.
down the line.
We'll check this out on the replay. You'll see that he just tight ropes down the sideline at about inside the 1 and gets inside, tight ropes there, and scores.
Excellent camera work there. You're able to see that line judge was right there in position to see him tightrope. Didn't step out of bounds. Great balance by Ty Howell, and the Riders are on the board.
Not really sure. Number 99 in to do the point after touchdown, and it is good. Spencer Troglin with the point after touchdown. So on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, it's the St. Mary's Rough Riders 7, the Franklin Wildcats nothing. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the kickoff right after this. St. Mary's Foundry is a global leader in manufacturing complex iron castings. Our skilled workforce takes pride in producing the highest quality iron castings, weighing up to 60,000 pounds. St. Mary's Foundry wants to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to all our local teams, wishing them a safe and extraordinary season. And speaking of great teams, St. Mary's Foundry would like to thank its very own team of hardworking employees for their loyalty and dedication. If you're looking for rewarding challenges and first-string wages and benefits, check us out at stmfoundry.com or on hometownopportunities.com. St. Mary's Foundry, where iron and ingenuity meet.
Screen painting, digitizing, and graphic design. For all your sporting good needs, stop in at Albert Sporting Goods.
This kickoff brought to you by your State Farm agent, Laura Yelton. Be a legend, insure your life. Cyree Williams returns the kick for Franklin, and he is stopped by the Rough Rider kickoff unit. A host of white jerseys down there, so they'll spot the ball at the 23-yard line. So Franklin will now have the ball for the second time here in the contest.
Yep, 7-0 Riders. We'll see now if Franklin can answer or if the defense can get another stop down here and put the offense in good field position again. We've seen how important field position has been for the Rough Riders all year.
Two receivers to the right, one split wide to the left. Wood will give the ball to Johnson. Johnson's going to break to the left. He's to the 30, to the 35, and he's going to be stopped by, I believe, Blake Knorr's in on the tackle, also Tanner Howell. But not before he picks up good yardage, and the Franklin Wildcats will have a first down at the Franklin 38-yard line. Cyree Williams will be in the wing. Gage Johnson behind quarterback Wood. Wood gets the snap. Give the ball to Johnson. Right up the middle he goes. And he'll get a gain of about 4 on the play. So we'll call it second down and 6.
And he is a strong runner.
Yes, he is.
He was in that pile there with 5 or 6 St. Mary's jerseys, and the pile was still moving forward. And that doesn't usually happen against St. Mary's defensive line.
But also keep in mind, Franklin has a big offensive line.
Right.
2:48 remaining here in the first quarter on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Rough Riders lead 7-0 in case you just joined us. It'll be second down and 7 for Franklin. Wood in the shotgun. We got whistles and flags.
False start.
False start on Franklin, so they'll move the ball back 5 yards. And it'll bring up second down and 12.
It's like 2:21 right now in the first quarter. Interested to see what the Wildcats do here on the 2nd and 12.
Wood on the signal will give the ball to Johnson. Johnson moving down the line. Blake Knorr turns him the other way. Hunter Foltz misses him. He's going to make something out of nothing. He's to the 50, to the 45 of St. Mary's, to the 40, and he has finally run out of bounds. Rough Riders had him behind the line of scrimmage. Blake Knorr turned him around. Hunter Foltz had a shot at him, and he ended up picking up good yardage. And so it'll be first down and 10 for Franklin in Rider territory. The ball will be placed at the 37-yard line, 1:51 remaining here in the first quarter.
Gage Johnson was absolutely bottled up behind the line. Hunter Foltz, Blake Knorr, I don't know how he got out of that. He just didn't just kept spinning and didn't go down.
Well, that's what seniors will do.
They're going to have to take his legs out, I think. You know, they have to tackle a little lower. They're not going to be able to pull this guy down. He's just too strong.
Wood, he's going to run it, and he is going to be stopped by Brandon Paul. Clock will continue to run. 1:38 remaining here in the first quarter. That gave him a gain of about 1, so we'll call it second down and 9 for the Wildcats.
Great open field tackle there by Brandon Paul. Just got enough. If they can hold Woods to that and just have to worry about stopping number 43, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll start learning that they got to hit number 43 a little lower.
Braden Wood in the shotgun. He's going to go back to pass. Pass is caught, I believe, by Brett Dalton, Ryan Russell on the reception. So it'll be a first down and 10 for the Franklin Wildcats. The ball will be placed at St. Mary's 20-yard line. Clock continues to tick. We're under a minute at 50 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. Braden Wood in the shotgun. Gage Johnson to his left. Handoff to Johnson, and he is stopped by Lucas Walter. Also in on the stop, I believe, is Trey Fisher, and also for St. Mary's, Trace Mabry. So no gain for the Franklin Wildcats. It'll be second down and 10. 15 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. And that's the end of the first quarter on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard with the St. Mary's Rough Riders 7, the Franklin Wildcats nothing. We'll return to Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium right after this.
If you're looking to renovate your home, former Rough Rider football standout Craig Hewer is your go-to man. Hewer Renovating is an all-phase residential specialist with over 40 years experience and an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Improve your investment by giving Hewer Renovating a call at 394 8643.
Auglaze Equipment Rental is your source for all your equipment needs. Whether you're a contractor or a homeowner with a project, we can help get the job done more efficiently. Check us out at 1900 Salina Road or auglazeequipmentrental.com or just call 419-394-7883. Auglaze Equipment Rental.
All righty, we're back at Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium. Franklin, Ohio, the site of the Division III Regional 12 quarterfinal game between the Rough Riders and the Franklin Wildcats. Franklin has the football. Second and 10 at the Rough Rider 20-yard line. Braden Woods is going to pass over the middle. Pass is knocked down, but it's going to be a flag on the play by Carson Fishbach.
Wow. They're going to probably call pass interference, but you can see on the replay that you couldn't have had better defense. He didn't really touch him before the ball was there.
Yeah.
Kind of hit it perfectly.
I'll tell you what, Carson Fishbach has had a couple of those called on him this year, which are very questionable. And I think that one was questionable as well. But nonetheless, it'll bring up 1st and 10 for the Franklin Wildcats. We're going to call it 1st and goal at the 10. Gage Johnson up the middle, and he is brought down by Trey Fisher, Tanner Howell. So
Yeah,
we'll give him a gain of 4 on the play. We'll call it 2nd and goal from the 6-yard line.
I think if I was the Rough Rider coaching staff, if we get it down here in the 20-yard line area, I'm probably bringing in some bigger guys maybe on the defensive line because I'm pretty positive they're just going to hand the ball off to Gage Johnson.
We've got a timeout on the field with the score. We got timeout on the field with the score. St. Mary's Rough Riders 7, the Franklin Wildcats nothing. 11:25 remaining here in the first half on our St. Mary's foul. Back at Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium, Franklin, Ohio, where the St. Mary's Rough Riders lead the Franklin Wildcats on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, 7-0. And Franklin's knocking at the door where they have the football, 2nd down and goal at the Rough Rider 6-yard line. Wood calls the signals, hands it off to Johnson, and he is stopped for a loss. And the first one to hit him was Tanner Howell.
Yeah, one of the more sure tackles on St. Mary's, Tanner Howell, had him wrapped up, and you know that he doesn't let go of many people. You can see even as hard as Tanner Howell hit him, he didn't take Gage Johnson down. It still took a couple guys.
Yep. It'll be 3rd down and goal from the 8-yard line. Keep in mind, Tanner Howell led this team in tackles on the season. So we've got 3 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Johnson behind Wood. Goes back to pass. He's going to swing it out to Johnson. Trey Fisher runs him down and tackles him, but not before he gets close to the goal line. I think he makes it, they're going to mark it at the 1-yard line.
Well, same end of the field, same 4th and short. And
4th down and goal from the 1-yard line, and we'll see what Franklin's going to do, and I think they're going to go for it. And they're going to stop him. Braden Wood took it himself, and the Rough Rider defense rose to the occasion and stopped the Franklin Wildcats.
Oh my gosh, what a play by the Rough Riders. I think all 11 of them were in that pile by the end of the play. The refs, to their credit, were not blowing the whistle. They were letting him try push it in, and about every single Rough Rider got into that pile and took him down.
On our next break, we forgot to do this between the first and second quarter, but on our next break, we're going to play our big Ralph Ryder replay. That'll be at our next break, next stoppage of play. 9:38 remaining here in the first half. What a stop by the Rough Rider defense. So the Rough Riders will have the ball at the half-yard line, really. Kurt Bupp is just going to go forward. We got flags on the play. We'll see what that's all about. We got procedure by the Rough Riders.
Well, you can't move the ball back much further than where it's at anyway. Yeah, fortunately, Joe, we don't have to run that big Ralph replay right now because Franklin didn't score. I thought that they may get in there and we were going to run it then, but I'm happy to let it go till the next break if it means the Rough Riders got the stop there.
Absolutely. We'll see what the Rough Riders will do because now it's about 6 inches from the goal line. Kurt Bupp will go with the quarterback sneak straight ahead and picks up pretty decent yardage, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
9:26 showing on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard in the first half. Good surge by the offensive line of the St. Mary's Rough Riders.
Kurt Bupp did a good job of recognizing that Franklin was loading up the right side of the line, decided to go to the left.
Rough Riders will have it 2nd down and 8 at their own 3-yard line. So a little bit of breathing room. Rough Rider running backs are in the end zone. Ty Howell will cut back up the middle, and he'll gain very little on the play.
A little scary there. They ran a sweep. He was running sideways, and he was inside the end zone, and Franklin defenders were right there with him.
Yeah. No gain on the play. We'll call it 3rd down and 8 at the St. Mary's 3-yard line.
Well, you got to be thinking right now, you want to get out a little bit further to give your punter more room if you have to punt on 4th down.
Well, the Rough Rider defense had a great stop, defensive stand. It would be nice if the offense could answer right now, pick up a big 1st down on this play. And Ethan Wedding was on the carries, took the ball and swept to the right side of the field where he was stopped for no gain. So that'll bring up a punting situation, and I didn't really see the play because I think Doug Fry, it looked like he wanted timeout before the play when they didn't get it.
Yeah, I didn't like whatever kind of defense that Franklin was in, but couldn't get that timeout, and now we have a punter in the back of the end zone.
Brandon Bowers will punt the football. Here comes the rush. He gets it off.
Wow.
It's a low kick. It's going to get a Rough Rider bounce, but it's going to go to the 46-yard line of St. Mary's where the ball is dead.
I tell you what, Franklin bought the house on that punt. There was a flag, but it was just a sideline warning on the Wildcats, so we will be getting started here.
I want to remind everybody that you can watch the replay of tonight's ball game on TSC Monday morning starting at around 10 o'clock on channels 702 and 13.1. Franklin will have the football, 1st and 10 at the Rough Rider 46-yard line. Here comes a sweep. We'll see who the ball carrier is. I believe it is number,
I think it's number 13.
Tyler Woods. Woods took that from about the wingback position and gained about 7 on the play. So we'll call it 2nd down and 3 for Franklin.
Yeah, there are a couple of St. Mary's guys in the backfield. Thought they were going to have him, but he just kind of slipped by him there. Shouldn't have really gotten that type of a gain, but that may be something to look out for. I don't think Franklin thinks they can run up the middle quite as easily as they have the rest of this year. They may have to start handing the ball off to some of those wingbacks for some sweeps.
Cyree Williams now in the backfield for Franklin. Braden Woods calls the signals. He's going to pass the football out to Woods, and he's going to pick up a 1st down for the Franklin Wildcats. Nice pitch and catch. Woods to Woods. So it'll be first down and 10 at the 6:23 mark here in the first half. St. Mary's leads on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard 7-0. I think Williams is still in at halfback behind Wood, and he's going to get the football. He's going to go off left tackle, and he'll gain about 4 on the play. Williams brought down by Trey Fisher and Tanner Howell.
Well, so far we haven't seen anything too tricky from Franklin. It's
Nope.
been a lot of off-tackle runs up the middle, maybe a 5-yard out, maybe a 10, 12-yard stop on a couple of those passes. Attempted to throw it over the middle a couple times.
Nothing fancy.
Nothing fancy. Just using all that size of that offensive line.
Exactly. Second down and 6. Ball at the St. Mary's 30-yard line. Wood calls the signals. Gives it off to Gage Johnson. He'll go up the middle, and he is stopped by the Rough Rider defense. Blake Knorr, Trey Fisher in on the tackle. Also, Brandon Paul in on the tackle as well for the Rough Rider defense. This will bring up third down and 5 for the Rough Riders. Joe Hurlbert and Zach Farrell bringing you all the action of tonight's Division III Regional 12 quarterfinal game from Franklin, Ohio on Rider Nation Station.
This is a big third down, 3rd and 5.
3rd and 5 at the Rough Rider 29-yard line. Gage Johnson on the carry, and he is stopped. Good pursuit by the Rough Rider defense. Blake Knorr in on the stop. Also Tanner Howell.
4th and 4 now from about the 28-yard line. I
Yep.
think probably the Franklin coach is going to go for it. This is kind of 4th down territory.
I believe.
This will be the second biggest 4th down for the St. Mary's defense here, Joe.
3 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Woods, the quarterback. He's going to go back. He's being pressured. Passes out and caught to Johnson, and it'll be enough for a first down.
Gage Johnson just did a great job of splitting the St. Mary's zone there. St. Mary's had a guy in the flats, and they had a guy a little bit deeper, maybe 10 yards. And Gage Johnson just kind of sat down 5 yards behind the guy that was in the flats on the line of scrimmage. And Woods did a great job of just throwing a little dump-off pass over the hand of the St. Mary's defender to pick up those 5 yards.
1st and 10 for Franklin. 3:38 remaining here in the first half. The ball setting at the St. Mary's 17-yard line. Woods being flushed out of the pocket. He's going to run to the sideline, and the clock will stop at 3:30. Remaining here in the first half on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard.
Great job by the defensive backs down the field. Didn't have anywhere to go with it, and great job by the defensive line for keeping them contained, not letting them run anywhere. You can tell it's definitely his first. He's thinking run first tonight.
It was a loss of 2 on the play, so we'll call it 2nd down and 12. For Franklin, the ball setting at the St. Mary's 19-yard line. Williams and Johnson flank Wood. Johnson with the football, and he is tackled immediately. Good stop there by Trey Fisher. Trey Fisher, Lucas Walters in on the stop. Blake Knorr. Just good pursuit. Good camera work by our crew right there.
Trey Fisher
Right
just came
down the
from
line.
Trey Fisher come from the DN spot and just completely, the blocker just completely blew past him. And he was right there in the backfield. And Gage Johnson couldn't keep his feet.
3rd down and 15. Another loss of 3 for Franklin Wildcats. 2:52 remaining here in the first half. 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Here comes the pressure. Pass thrown out to Brett Dalton.
A good job by Woods that time of recognizing where the pressure was coming from and looking to throw it to that side because he probably knew that he'd have a receiver open over there.
Tanner Howe and Carson Fishbach and Ethan Wedding in on the stop.
Looks like Franklin's going to kick it, Joe.
Franklin's going to try a field goal.
4th and 12, wasn't sure what they were thinking about for sure, but going for the field goal.
Brian Thacker will attempt a 29-yard field goal. Or to be a 26-yard field goal, I'm sorry. Snap is down, the kick is up, and it's blocked.
That can be returned. That's a live ball. That is a live ball.
Braden Hemmelgard, we got a flag on the play. Hemmelgard on the run, on the return of the blocked field goal. Yeah, we're going to get a block in the back, but nonetheless, the field goal attempt by Thacker was blocked.
It wasn't actually a block in the back, Joe. What they're going to call is, this is the new rule this year,
Okay.
the blindside block rule.
Okay.
So we can see here in the replay, as Himmelgarn picks the ball up and comes around the edge, just an absolutely massive block by Trey Fisher.
Yeah.
That's
Nice block.
supposed to be away from the play, though.
Right.
That was a block that sprung the runner. I think we'll have to check with rules of the game this week with Mark Sisko, but when it's on the play side, when it's actually helping the play out there, I don't believe that's supposed to be called like that.
There's the block right there by Trey Fisher. That's just that's a good block.
It's just it wasn't to the helmet. It wasn't. He didn't lead with his head. It was a clean hit. They are supposed to. There was an emphasis in the offseason on blind side blocks, specifically on plays like that. But I thought that it was supposed to be when it was unnecessary, when it was away from the play.
Well, the point after touchdown was blocked. It was returned by Braden Hemmelgard. I'm sorry. And we had a blindside block, so the Rough Riders will have the ball now 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line. Up the middle, Ross Henson. Henson makes a move, and he's to the 30-yard line. Good run by Ross Henson. Clock is stopped while they move. We got a flag on the play.
What is that for? That is all the way down the field where the tackle happened. Sideline warning on St. Mary's.
Sideline warning has been issued, I believe, to both teams. So it'll be 1st down and 10 for the Rough Riders at their own 32-yard line, 1:35 remaining. Ross Henson in at fullback. Give the ball to Troglin. Troglin will sweep left, and he is stopped.
Looked like a pretty good setup sweep, but Troglin tried to take it outside. Would have liked to see him follow his black side guard that time a little bit further inside.
Yeah, no gain on the play for Troglin. It'll bring up 2nd down and 10 for the Rough Riders. Wedding and Troglin behind. There's a screen pass, and he just overthrows Ethan Wedding. So it'll bring up 3rd down and 10. 54 seconds remaining.
Pretty good thought there by Coach Fry, I think. Not sure if Ethan Wedding would have got much. There was a couple Franklin defenders over there that sniffed out that screen. Be interesting now to see on 3rd down here what Coach Fry wants to do. Looks like we got the polecat.
Lonesome polecat formation right here. Franklin defense is scurrying. Kurt Bupp has got the pass completed to Dylan Troglin. Good job by Kurt Bupp. Offense showing some urgency right now as the clock is stopped.
Running the polecat again. 49 seconds left.
Ball at the Rider 46-yard line, and we've got stoppage of play. We've got a timeout on the field called by the Franklin Wildcats because they have really no clue what's going on.
I saw their coach on that last play. They were definitely wanting to get a timeout there.
So right now we're going to take and listen to our Big Ralph Ryder replay. We apologize that we didn't get it in between the first and second quarter, but nonetheless, it's brought to you by Guarneri's Pizzeria on Spring Street, home of the signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, and calzone. Come try our thirst-quenching Gatorade or Ryderade before, during, and after the game. It's Guarneri's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244.
Well, now Travis Neal is in on the right side, right beside Adam Johns. And here's a pass thrown down here. It's caught by Brett Baker. Baker catches it at the 25-yard line and steps out of bounds.
Brett Baker, you know?
I think that might have been 2004. Could have been 2005 the next year, but I don't think so because I think Brett Baker was quarterback then the next year in 2005, so he probably wouldn't have been on the receiving end. So I think that was 2004, my senior year.
Okay.
Pass was probably from Corey Vossler.
We'll go with that. Here comes the Riders. They're going to go with the Lonesome Polecat. We're down to 45 seconds remaining.
Well, I'll tell you, last time on this Polecat,
Ethan Wedding is going to snap the ball, I believe.
And he is
an eligible receiver.
Yes, and last time he was wide open, streaking down the middle of the field.
Yep.
I'm thinking Coach Fry saw that and said,
let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
And maybe Franklin saw it, and now they're going to come back into huddle formation, and we'll see what's going to happen now. Maybe that's exactly why Franklin called timeout. They realized that the center was eligible. Now they're going to do it again.
Yeah, well, their coach wants to talk to their guys and say, hey, we need to get all these guys covered.
There's the snap, but we got flag on the play. Procedure called on the Rough Riders. As we look down the field, Wedding Fishbach was covered.
I'm not sure who that illegal procedure false start was called on. I didn't frankly see much.
48 seconds remaining. Riders have it 1st and 15 at their own 41-yard line. Lonesome Polecat formation. Wedding's the center. He's eligible. And Kurt Bupp scrambles, and he is run out of bounds. And you can hear the coaching staff up where we're at wanting a late hit.
Yeah, he was a couple steps out of bounds, and they still tackled him. I'm okay with the no flag there, actually, Joe. The defender was kind of engaged with him right as he was stepping out of bounds. It wasn't as flagrant as I've seen. 2nd
down and 11. Clock stop, 42 seconds remaining here in the first half. Bupp will run it right up the middle. He's to the 50, to the 45, where he is taken down, but he's going to be short of a first down. The clock continues to roll, 30 seconds remaining on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. We have a timeout on the field called by the Rough Riders. So with 28 seconds remaining on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard here in the first half, it's the Rough Riders 7, the Franklin Wildcats nothing. We'll be back right after this.
TV everywhere.
TV everywhere?
That's right, everywhere. You can watch TV from your tablet, your phone, your laptop, any mobile device, anywhere you want.
Laundromat?
Yes.
Grocery store?
Yes.
Park?
Yes.
What if I wanted to watch TV at home?
All your favorite networks all the time. It's TV everywhere from TSC.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
Back to action here at the Veteran Memorial Field. Kurt Bupp being flushed out of the pocket. He's going to spin. He's still on the move. He's looking for it, and he'll complete the pass. I think it's to Carson Fishbach.
Man, doesn't it seem that whenever Kurt Bupp is looking for that receiver down the field that he knows he can count on, he's looking for Carson Fishbach now.
Absolutely.
Sure-handed.
24 seconds remaining here in the first half on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Ross Henshin checks in at fullback for St. Mary's. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Rough Riders at the Franklin 40-yard line.
St. Mary's came out that time just in a traditional full house backfield. Nothing no lonesome polecat or anything.
Carson Fishbach will go to the sideline. It'll be Ross Henson, Ethan Wedding behind Kurt Bupp, Ty Howe on the wing. It'll be a pitch. And now back to Troglin. He's going to throw the football. He's looking for Ty Howe. Ball is up, and it is intercepted. The pass is intercepted. By number 10, Aiden Kinzer. That's a good camera shot right there.
Yeah, he did have, number 10 did have 1 foot in bounds. Yep, that's a good call by the official.
Yep. Well, the Rough Riders tried a little razzle dazzle, and Troglin threw the football.
Yeah, just kind of a bad decision on Troglin.
Yeah, he threw in the double coverage. Good coverage by Franklin defensive backs. So we'll see what's going to happen here. They're going to take a knee, and that's going to end the first half of play on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard with the St. Mary's Rough Riders 7 and the Franklin Wildcats nothing. We'll take this quick break. We'll come back with halftime right after this.
Varsity Lanes, home of the Rough Riders 2018-19 Boys and Girls State Bowling Champions. Striking up delicious food, 32 taps, Queen of Hearts, and nightly food and drink specials with a great family atmosphere. Carry-out is available. Stop in and see us after the game. Go Riders! Unique Awards and Signs, here to take care of your signage, graphic award, and gift customization needs. From banners for your graduate or corporate sponsors to awards recognizing those dedicated employees or champion sport teams. Stop in at 1865 Salina Road or call us at 419-394-1612. Here to help make life go right is your local Good Neighbor State Farm agent, Laura Yelton, with 30 years experience. Visit Laura and her team located in downtown St. Mary's for your auto, home, banking, and life insurance needs. Be a legend. Insure your life.
All righty, we're back at Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio. Joe Hurlbert alongside Zach Farrell on Rider Nation Station for the Division III Regional Quarterfinal game between the Franklin Wildcats and the St. Mary's Rough Riders. And the Rough Riders lead on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard by a score of 7-0. Zach, your thoughts of the way the first half went? I thought the Rough Riders offense started good, but I think the momentum changer was really, in all honesty, and the Riders couldn't capitalize on the defensive stand that the Rough Riders did with Franklin had the ball inside the 1 yard line.
Yeah, and we said before the game that we had a couple of very evenly matched teams, we thought, and definitely the case so far. St. Mary's has done a pretty good job of rushing, but they've just gotten stopped a couple times. And you're absolutely right. The play of the game right now is the defensive stand at the 1 yard line. That's a tough position for St. Mary's, though. You're playing out of your end zone. You're just trying not to give up the safety in that type of situation. They ran a quarterback sneak. They tried to run a couple of sweeps out there, but it's just really tough for this offense to play out of that type of out of the end zone and that short, especially against a Franklin defense that has such big guys that we've seen tonight. Frankly, don't really have to be all that fast because they're able to just to take up some gaps and space in the middle. So I think really, if you're kind of you're saying Franklin probably maybe should have scored on one of those times that they had the ball, then this would be a 7-7 game, and you'd probably say that makes sense from what we watched tonight in the first half because those are pretty two evenly matched teams.
I think so.
Aside from that, that down there, the Rough Riders haven't really had the ball very much since their touchdown to be able to try to put together a drive. They had something going there at the end of the half, but up against the clock, had to get a little bit tricksy and had the unfortunate mistake there on the halfback pass and interception. So, yeah, I think two evenly matched teams. Pretty impressed with number 43, Gage Johnson, and his ability to run the ball, but equally impressed with the St. Mary's defensive line's ability to step up and stop that. Really haven't seen much from Woods or Johnson in the rushing department. Woods has unfortunately had a couple pretty good passes, but aside from a couple big plays and some unfortunate penalty calls, I haven't seen anything out of Franklin's offense that really worries me going into the second half. You just want to see St. Mary's be able to put together one or two good drives in the second half that can, and I think that defense can hold these guys.
And you hit on a good point there. Neither team has really put anything together as far as sustained drives. Maybe they've moved the chains once, maybe twice at that, but really the Rough Riders spent a lot of the second quarter, other than here in the latter part of the first half, on the Franklin side of the field with their offense. They just can't get any sustained drives. But nonetheless, the most important statistic is the one we're seeing now on the scoreboard, as the Rough Riders lead 7-0 at halftime. And you're watching the St. Mary's Memorial All-Brass Marching Band perform the script riders for this crowd here at Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium here in Franklin, Ohio.
Great opportunity there by that sousaphone player to get to dot the I for the Rough Riders. So it was always exciting during the playoffs. The band keeps running the script riders, and you keep having new seniors that get to come
Absolutely.
out and dot the I. That's always extra incentive for the football team to keep winning.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and Zach's going to go over and get the stats, and he'll be back with those as our halftime show continues here from Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio. I'm Joe Hurlbert, and our score on our St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, it's the Rough Riders 7, the Wildcats nothing. We'll be back right after this. If you're looking to renovate your home, former Rough Rider football standout Craig Hewer is your go-to man. Hewer Renovating is an all-phase residential specialist with over 40 years experience and an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Improve your investment by giving Hewer Renovating a call at 419-394-8643. We want to remind everybody that you can watch the replay of tonight's contest between the Rough Riders and the Franklin Wildcats on TSC channels 702 and 13.1 starting Monday morning of next week. And don't forget to join us as long as the Rough Riders continue on down the playoff trail. We will be bringing you the Doug Fry program. Join me and head coach Doug Fry as we analyze the previous ball game and the upcoming opponent. And, of course, rules of the game will continue along as well. As far as the Rough Riders will go, we'll follow them with rules of the game each week as well. Also, we want to thank everybody for listening tonight, and wherever you may be listening to, if you get an opportunity to make a comment in the comment section on your computer or on your iPhone, just kind of let us know where you're listening. We know that there's people all over now starting to pick us up as the Rough Riders move down the tournament trail.
Yeah, Joe, on that note, I have to give a shout-out to my grandma who texts me. She's in Fort Myers Beach, Florida. They're listening to us down there.
Seriously.
So, Louise Davis, wherever you're at out there.
I bet. I'll tell you what. I'm going to guarantee this. I'll guarantee this. She's probably a little bit warmer than we are.
That's what I was thinking. Have some warm thoughts for me, Grandma, because we're seeing our breath over here in the press box, and it's probably 70, 80 degrees down there.
Well, we are in the visitors' press box here at Atrium Stadium. It's probably pretty primitive as far as the electrical is concerned, and there's no heat over here, but nonetheless, it's just been a great playoff atmosphere, and it's been pretty good. So the Rough Riders lead 7-0. You got any? And what we'll do is, if you can, after you do your statistics, we'll see if we can get an updated score on Walpock and Trotwood.
Absolutely. Let's get some of the stats out of the way first. First downs, pretty even. St. Mary's had 7, Franklin with 6. Total yards, St. Mary's 131, Franklin 99. St. Mary's passing was 2 for 4 for 1 interception. Franklin passing 5 for 7 Passing yards, St. Mary's 19, Franklin 43. Rushing attempts for St. Mary's, 21 for 112 yards. Franklin 16 for 56 yards. Penalties, 3 for St. Mary's for 25 yards, 2 for Franklin for 10 yards. Third down conversions, St. Mary's is 3 for 6. Franklin 0 for 4. Great job on the St. Mary's defense with stepping up for that. Punts for St. Mary's, 2 for 83 yards total. It looks like a 41.5-yard average. Franklin had 1 punt for 40 yards. The average drive start has been similar for both teams. St. Mary's, their 24-yard line. Franklin, their 25-yard line. Time of possession, pretty even. St. Mary's, 10 minutes, 26 seconds. Franklin, 13 minutes, 34 seconds. So those team stats, as you can see, showing things pretty equal, just like kind of what we said, 2 very evenly matched teams out here on the field. Passing for St. Mary's, Kurt Bupp has 3 attempts, completed 2 of them for 19 yards. His longest was a 14-yard pass to Dylan Troglin. For rushing, Ross Henshin is your leading rusher, which is a bit of a surprise, but maybe not necessarily when you look at last week, but I kind of thought with the bigger defensive line for Franklin that we wouldn't see as much Ross Henshin. But I think there's something to that. He's a little bit smaller, and he's able to fit behind the linemen, and they're not able to see him.
Well, I'm thinking just the opposite, Zach. I think I was surprised that we're not seeing more of him because he's quick.
Right.
He gets to the line, and he can on that trap play, and all the centers and guards need to do is maybe put a shoulder on somebody and keep them from moving. And before you know it, Ross Henshin's up, and he's down the field 10, 15 yards.
Yeah. 7 rushes for Ross for 65 yards.
Wow.
His longest was a 22-yarder. He's had a couple of those that he's just one block away from a touchdown, which you always love as a former center, seeing a fullback be able to score a touchdown out of one of the 20 or 21 traps. For Ty Howe, 6 rushes for 28 yards. Kurt Bupp, 4 rushes for 15 yards. Aiden Hinkle, 2 rushes for 4 yards. A lot of size up the middle, and Aiden Hinkle's not going to surprise anybody. He's not going to juke anybody, and he's not quick enough to really get past some of these bigger guys. But they're going to still rely on him to kind of be a hammer and keep him honest inside. Receiving, Dylan Troglin, 1 catch for 14 yards. Carson Fishball, 1 catch for 5 yards. Not much in that territory. Looking at Franklin, we have Braden Woods, 5 completions on 7 attempts, 43 yards, his longest being 16. Gage Johnson, 9 rushes for 45 yards, had a 27-yard rush. That's pretty telling, though. He had 1 rush for 27 yards. He only has a total of 45 yards rushing. So it's been a lot of short yardage with him. Braden Woods, only 4 rushes for only 2 yards. Of course, he gets a little bit of those rush yards docked every time he gets a sack or something like that. Tyler Woods, 1 rush for 7 yards. Receiving, Gage Johnson, thrown to twice, caught twice for 19 yards. Ryan Russell, 1 catch for 16 yards. Tyler Woods, 1 catch for 1 yards. What's interesting about that, Joe, is when I was looking at the Franklin football stats, Gage Johnson for the year has 1 reception for 8 yards.
Wow.
And he's currently the leading receiver for Franklin. So the Rough Riders are definitely taking them out of their traditional game plan. So as you can see, Joe, not a lot of difference in the stats. Stats kind of reflect what we're seeing on the field, which is that we have two pretty evenly matched teams.
Well, we're going to take a break. Maybe Zach can get online and find out and get us an update on the Walpock Trotwood Madison score. We'll see where they're at. And, of course, they're playing at Harmon Field in Walpock also. And we speculate that the winners of that game and the winner of this game will meet possibly.
Yeah. Well, they've already got the regional playoff bracket filled out, so we will meet the winner of the Trotwood and Wapakoneta game. If it's Trotwood, we're thinking it's usually Troy or Sydney or Piqua. If I had to guess out of those three, I'd probably say Piqua. Troy, they usually have a little bit. It just depends on what the other teams are in the division and what's going on. If Wapakoneta wins, unfortunately, we can't have a game in Moulton. That's where I went
halfway.
to. That's where I went to elementary school. So we could resurrect the old Moulton Elementary and have a game there in between St. Mary's and Wapak. So they'd probably bring us to Lima Shawnee or Sydney.
Well, we'll let you look for the score. We're going to take a break. We'll hear from Hewer Renovating, and we'll come right back with more as our halftime show continues from Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio. We're on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. It's the St. Mary's Rough Rider 7, the Franklin Wildcats nothing.
Do you find yourself faced with injustice or confronted with a legal matter that you need help resolving? If so, call attorney David Walbacher at 216-225-9181. That's attorney David Walbacher for all your legal needs.
Well, Joe, guess what? We think we got an evenly matched team here. They got an evenly matched game here. They got an evenly matched game up in Wapakoneta at Harmon Field. Trotwood Rams 7, Wapakoneta Redskins 7.
Wow!
At halftime.
That is talking about that game. Those two teams are familiar with each other. They've met down in the playoffs before.
Right. Yeah, I believe last year Wapakoneta defeated Trotwood. St. Mary's was in Division 4, so we were on Saturday night playoff games last year, so a lot of St. Mary's fans were able to go over to Wapakoneta and watch that game. It was a great game, as these Wapakoneta and Trotwood games usually are. But what a history in the last 10 years of Wapakoneta and Trotwood. I think it's 4 times, maybe 5 times in the last probably 8-9 years that they've met each other in the playoffs. Of course, a couple of years ago, unfortunately, after they took Wapakoneta out of the playoffs, then St. Mary's played them at Sydney, and they took St. Mary's out of the playoffs. That's, of course, when the nice relationship between the St. Mary's Cowboy Mafia and the Trotwood began at that time.
Sure.
With that culminated in Cowboy Mafia traveling down to Dayton and going on to TV stations and a good relationship since then. I know there's a lot of friendships that have been made between the Trotwood teams and St. Mary's. So, Joe, I thought maybe we could look a little bit at the Region 12, just some of the other teams tonight.
Absolutely.
Dayton Chaminade Julian was ranked number 1 in the region, and they're actually hosting Kettering Archbishop Altar. The funny thing about that is both teams just played last week. So, what a game if you're Altar and you just lost to CJ last week, and now you got to go back there and play again this week. But that's potential for instant revenge too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, Hamilton Baden then is hosting Hamilton Ross. So, the Battle of the Hamiltons. There was a short time last Friday night where it looked like St. Mary's maybe was going to end up having to travel down to Hamilton Ross, and that would have been this was far enough. Hamilton would have been an extra 15, 20 minutes.
Now, both those schools are in Hamilton.
Yeah, yep.
Do they both play at the same field?
Good question.
If they both play at the same field, then both of them have home field advantage.
Good question. When I was looking for when we thought we were going to be playing in Hamilton, I looked up their field, and I think it was called Hamilton Ross Football Field or something like that. So hopefully they have different fields. But yeah, it's a good point.
Well, you never know. Some of these communities, like for example, Sydney, Sydney Lehman and Sydney Yellow Jackets share the same field, but they're not necessarily in the same division.
Right. Delphus St. John's, Delphus Jefferson, they share the same field. I think they do.
I think they do.
And of course, our opening game next year it'll be home against the Dayton school.
Thurgood
Marshall. But they share, all the Dayton public schools share that Welcome Stadium. Right. So in 2 years, we're going to go down to Welcome Stadium in Dayton and that'll be an interesting experience.
That'll be a great atmosphere. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. The second half is just around the corner. Again, if you're just joining us on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, it's the St. Mary's Rough Riders 7, the Franklin Wildcats nothing. You're listening to Division III Regional 12 quarterfinal game on your Rider Nation station. We'll be right back.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes is a middle school and high school club looking to spread God's love throughout numerous schools and communities of our local area. FCA's favorite play of the game is both teams joining together in prayer at the conclusion of the game. God bless you, sports fans.
Back at Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio, Joe Hurlbert alongside Zach Farrell, Rider Nation Station, bringing you Rough Rider playoff football as the Rough Riders lead on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard by a score of 7-0. Both teams have returned to the playing surface in preparation of second half action. So we'll see what adjustments has been made. It almost seemed like to me, Zach, that it was almost like a boxing match.
Right.
That they're just kind of just feeling each other out. We're just going to try a few things and see what works, see what doesn't work. We'll go in at halftime, we'll make some adjustments, and then we'll throw the big punches here in the second half.
Yeah, I think from the St. Mary's Rough Riders offensively, I think we're going to see a lot different formations potentially for the wing tee and the different versions of the wing tee, because I think that they usually are able to check out some film and see that the defenders are maybe sitting on a couple things, and you can try some maybe overloading of one side or another, and it helps you get the edge sometimes. You can also split out guys, maybe do a couple of double split outs to one side, and what that does is it takes a couple of those defenders out of that side, and they don't always cover that side, so you're able to run something over there, or sometimes what that does is it requires them to take a guy out, which leaves your center uncovered, or your guards have a little bit more space, and you're able to run a better trap or something like that. So I think we'll probably see that from the offense. Defensive-wise, I don't know if we're going to see much other than just a renewed emphasis on stopping number 43, and just to continue to stay vigilant for stopping Braden Woods. I think potentially offensively from the Rough Riders, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Coach Fry open it up a little bit. If they try a drive that doesn't go well with their traditional rushing attack, wouldn't surprise me to see them come out in a shotgun and try to catch Franklin a little off balance with that. Certainly the way that they caught him off balance with the Lonesome Polecat. What was interesting about that Lonesome Polecat, Joe, I've never seen we saw the traditional Lonesome Polecat where there's only one snapper, the quarterback, the line to the left, the receiver to the right. And then we saw them come out in a different one where there was a center snapping the ball, and there were two guards, a guard and a tackle, to the left of the center. I've seen it before where there's been a couple linemen on either side of the center, but this was a totally different formation that I've never seen Doug Fry run before. So it tells me that maybe they're looking to use that in the playoffs as some sort of extra gadgetry or something like that.
A lot of times when you see a team come out to do something like the Lonesome Polecat, you'll see them line up one time, and that'll be pretty much about it. Just to kind of scatter the defense, which it did. It really confused the Franklin defense.
It's also a good way to force them to use a timeout if you want them to use that.
And then it's pretty much put on the shelf and not used again, but he ran it 3 times.
Right. Yeah, I can absolutely see why, too, because the first couple Lonesome Polecat calls there, he had wide open receivers down the field, and it also opened up a great rushing lane for Kurt Bupp. And he's got some speed to him when he can get going there. So we'll see if that comes out again. I kind of think that they'll probably go to something different. Hopefully Franklin spent a lot of their time during the halftime loading up for that.
All right, this kickoff to start the second half is being brought to you by your State Farm agent, Laura Yelton. Be a legend. Insure your life.
It's a lot of energy out here, Joe. This is playoff football in Ohio on a Friday night.
There's the kick by Spencer Troglin. He slips and falls. It's to an up back. And he'll pick up the ball and move it to the Franklin 45-yard line. So the Franklin Wildcats will get the ball in good field position. Not really sure who the ball carrier was.
Yeah, it was a big guy. One of the it looks like maybe number 67 for Franklin. Real big guy. Another flag on the play, but I think it's another sideline warning. No. Illegal block in the. Nope, it is a sideline warning, and it's their second one, so it's a 5-yard penalty.
So they'll move the ball back on a sideline penalty by Franklin Wildcats. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Franklin at their own 40-yard line. Braden Woods, the quarterback. Cyree Williams and Gage Johnson flank to either side of Woods. He calls the snap. He'll give the ball to Johnson. He's going to sweep to the right. And Lucas Walter and Blake Knorr bring him down, but not after he picks up 5 yards on the play.
Yeah, Franklin's in the shotgun, but Woods has running backs on either side of him. I think they like that because they can then look to see what kind of formation St. Mary's is in and go either side on the sweep like that.
Gage Johnson, we've got some confusion by the Franklin offense. We got a penalty?
Yeah, I saw a flag called.
Too many men on the field maybe. It'll be a 5-yard penalty stepped off against the Franklin Wildcats.
Yeah, I think it's too many men on the field.
So it'll bring up 2nd down and the original 10 for Franklin at their own 40-yard line. Wood give the ball to Gage Johnson. He goes right up the middle, and he is stopped by a host of white shirts. Trace Mabry in on the stop. Trey Fisher in as well. At the bottom of the pile is Blake Knorr and Tanner Howell.
It looks like the Rough Riders got the memo that it's going to take more than 1 or 2 guys to bring Gage Johnson down. They're all flying to the ball. A couple of guys took his legs out early, but he's got a lot of good balance there.
So we'll give him a gain of about 1 on the play. We'll call it 2nd and 9 at their own 41-yard line. Johnson behind Braden Woods. Wood will stand, a quick throw. It'll go over to Russell, and he is stopped by Trey Fisher and Dylan Troglin.
Yeah, they tried sort of a quick pass to the receiver with one other receiver out there to block. Almost like a screen pass, just with one blocker. Only got a couple yards out of it. Great job in the open field by the Rough Rider defensive backs.
Zach Johnson back to do the punting for the Franklin Wildcats. Dylan Troglin and Ty Howell will be standing at their own 15-yard line. Here's the snap. There's the punt by Johnson. Nice punt. It'll be picked up by Ty Howell. Right back up the middle he goes, and he'll be stopped at the Rough Rider 40-yard line.
Well, that's what you wanted from your defense there.
Yep, stop on the first series.
First series stop. Don't give Franklin a chance to get back in this game. Now it's time for the offense to take care of business and get the ball down the field 60 yards, put in the end zone, and put St. Mary's up by 2 scores then.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for St. Mary's at their own 40-yard line. 9 minutes and 28 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Kurt Buck pitch to Ethan Wedding, sweep to the right, and breaks a tackle or 2. But they say it was knocked out of bounds at the 42-yard line, so we'll give him a gain of 2. We'll call it 2nd down and 8.
Yeah, did a good job of breaking tackles. Unfortunately, his foot had already just touched outside the line, and good job there by the official to see that.
Rough Riders could use a 9 or 10 play drive and score here to chew up some clock as well. Here comes Dylan Troglin, and he's not going to go anywhere. He's thrown for about a 4-yard loss on the play.
Yeah, just a traditional Rough Rider 28 sweep to the right. Guard came out. Not a great block by the guard, and guy kind of came off of the guard's block and unfortunately made the tackle. That was Logan Allen kind of had his head down a little bit too much on the block there.
We'll call it 3rd down and 11 at the Rough Riders 39-yard line. Ty Howell, wing right, turn. And Kurt Buff's going to throw the football, and he is going to be tackled for a loss at the 35-yard line. So that's a loss of about 3 on the play.
Yeah.
And that'll bring up 4th down and 14 for the Rough Riders.
That was the pass play where Ty Howell streaks down the middle of the field, and it's been thrown for a couple touchdowns this year. Unfortunately, when you're running it on 3rd and long, the defense was looking for it, and they didn't have any other real receivers out there that Kurt could get it to.
Brewers punt. Nice high punt. Dalton will let it bounce, and it will get a St. Mary's roll, but it hit Tanner Howell. So the ball will be down at the Franklin 31-yard line, where they'll get the ball for the second time here in the second half. 7:54 remaining on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Rough Riders still up 7-0.
Well, unfortunately, Franklin's defense stepped up as well. I can tell that St. Mary's coaches must have thought that they could get some outside runs there. Saw 3 straight sweeps to the right, but not able to sustain anything.
Gage Johnson behind Wood, sends Williams in motion, and he stops. 3 receivers. Now back to the other way goes Russell in motion. And Johnson on the ball carrier, and he's immediately taken down. I think
that was actually Cyrus that time.
Williams?
Yeah, yep, Cyrus Williams.
Well, they're going to give him a loss of 1 on the play. Good job by the Rough Rider defense, tackling Williams for a loss of 1. So to bring up 2nd down and 11 for Franklin. Knows the football just shy of the Franklin 30-yard line. Clock continues to roll. 7:15 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. Wood. Pitch to Johnson. Johnson will sweep left, and he is initially hit by Trey Fisher and then cleaned up by Dylan Troglin, Blake Knorr, and Ethan Wedding. So we'll give him a gain of a couple. Good pursuit by the Rough Rider defense, and keep in mind, Blake Knorr came from his left defensive tackle position to run him down.
Absolutely, that's what it's going to take on with a running back with like this. He's not going down on the first or second hit. It's taking one guy to get him wrapped up and a couple guys to clean him up afterwards. Great job by the Rough Riders.
Johnson, the lone setback behind Wood. Braden looking, he's going to go deep. He's got a man open, and it is caught by Tyler Woods. That'll be enough for a 1st down, and the ball will be placed at the St. Mary's 43-yard line. Gain of about 26 on the play from Wood to Woods.
Yeah, just a kind of single coverage there with Ty Howell, and just threw it up for him to catch.
Gage Johnson behind Braden Wood. Wood's going to go throw. He's going to throw the football again. Now he's flushed out of the pocket, and he is brought down by Blake Knorr. That'll be a loss of about 4 on the play. We'll call it 2nd down and 14 for the Franklin Wildcats. The ball will be placed at the St. Mary's 47-yard line. 5:32 remaining here in the 3rd quarter. 7-0 on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Joe Hurlbert, Zach Farrell, Rider Nation Station. Your playoff connection for Rough Rider football.
defensive line really needs to keep up the pressure on Woods so he can't get off some of those long passes.
Woods pass thrown out to number 7. That is Dylan Dirks, and he picks it up right above the turf for a completion. But it'll still be short of a first down. It'll be 3rd down and about 6 for Franklin. The ball setting at the Rough Rider 39-yard line. So a big 3rd down play here for the Rough Riders. As they would say, this is the money down.
Yeah, and you're probably in 4th down territory here, so be interested to see if Franklin's trying to go for the first down or just trying to get a couple extra yards.
We'll see if the Rough Riders bring their linebackers. He's going to stand up and throw it over to Russell. Russell gets the football, makes and outmaneuvers Carson Fishbach and runs out of bounds. And now they're going to get a flag. They're going to get a late hit. A personal foul is going to be called on the St. Mary's defense.
What's interesting is that the line judge over there was right on top of the play and wasn't calling anything, didn't take the flag out of his pocket.
He didn't call anything until Brad Childers run down the sideline yelling personal foul.
They actually called a face mask.
Face
Joe.
mask? Okay.
I have to see that on replay here. Oh, they called horse collar.
Yep, they called a horse collar. So it'll be 1st down and 10 for Franklin at the Rough Rider 14-yard line. A test again for the Rough Rider defense. Johnson right up the middle. We'll give him a gain of about 3 on the play. Following his big center, Cajun Allen, 305-pound junior.
Let's see if the Rough Rider defense can step up yet again.
Absolutely.
Get that big stop. We've been talking about them all year that they've been a bend, don't break defense.
Absolutely.
And we need it more than ever right now.
3:46 remaining. Clock continues to roll here in the 3rd quarter. On the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, Johnson, the lone setback behind Braden Woods. Woods in the shotgun. Gets the snap. He's going to roll, and he's going to be tackled by Blake Knorr and Trey Fisher, but not before he eluded a couple of would-be Rough Rider tacklers. And it'll bring up 3rd down, and I think it's going to be no gain, I believe, on the play.
Yeah, they could have got him for maybe a 4 or 5 yard loss. So he just snuck out a little bit, got back to the line of scrimmage, but not really too concerned with that anyway right now. You just need to get the
3rd down for the
stop.
Franklin Wildcats. 2:54 remaining on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Here in the 3rd quarter, Gage Johnson goes to the right of Braden Woods. Woods fakes the handoff. He's going to roll to his right. He's looking in the end zone, and he is tackled by Trey Fisher. Fisher runs him down. And it'll bring up 4th down, and here comes the field goal unit.
He was looking to that corner. He wanted that wide receiver that was in the end zone. And it's a good thing Trey Fisher came when he did, because he had a couple of open guys that opened up about a second after Trey Fisher's tackle there.
Brian Thacker will be on to do the field goal attempt. It'll be placed at the St. Mary's 22-yard line. This will be a 32-yard attempt. There's the snap. Hold is down, the kick is up, and the kick is good.
Wow, that had to have been inches from being blocked again, Joe.
So with 1:46 remaining here in the 3rd quarter on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, it's the St. Mary's Rough Riders 7 and the Franklin Wildcats 3. We'll take a break. We'll come back with more right after this.
Where is that TSC bill? How can I pay it if I can't find it?
You don't need the bill. You can pay it online at telcirco.com.
Wasn't there a special this month?
Yes, we got it from TSC's Facebook page.
I know I've got the announcement for the club here somewhere.
I just sent it to TSC to air on Channel 2. With Telcirco.com, Facebook, Channel 2, and their newsletter, TSC makes it easy to stay connected.
Now, if they could just help me clean up my desk.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, call TSC.
All righty, this kickoff return is being brought to you by your State Farm agent, Laura Yelton. Be a legend, insure your life. Brian Thacker will do the kicking off for the Franklin Wildcats after he just connected on a 32-yard field goal. Back to receive the kickoff is Dylan Troglin, Ty Howe, and I believe it's Carson Fishbach. High kick.
We had a delay of game called, Joe.
Huh. Well, we're going to move it back.
Interesting. I don't know if I've ever seen a delay of game on a kickoff.
Correct that. It's not Carson Fishbach. He's one of the up guys. It'll be Braden Hemmelgarn. Or Brandon Hemmelgarn, I'm sorry. So they're going to move it back 5 yards. And Franklin will do the kicking off from their own 35-yard line. So it'll move the receiving team up about 5 yards.
Well, Joe, when the Rough Riders have needed an offensive spark, we've seen the special teams step up all week, all year.
Absolutely. And Coach Fry alluded to that fact in the show this week, that it could boil down to the special teams in a tightly fought ball game such as we had. Hemmelgarn will get it at about the 7-yard line, to the 20, to the 25. He's got a hole, and he breaks a tackle, and he's still fighting. He's to the 40, to the 43-yard line. So good run by Braden Hemmelgarn on the return.
Yep, and that crowd likes that. He broke a tackle about the 30-yard line. He was hit by a couple guys about the 35, but he had a couple guys with him, and the pile got carried all the way out to the 43.
He just kept his legs moving. Good job by Braden Hemmelgarn, and the Rough Riders will have the football, 1st and 10 at their own 42-yard line. 1:35 remaining here in the third quarter. Aiden Hinkle pounds the ball to the left side, and he'll gain about 6 on the play, or 5 on the play. We'll call it 2nd down and 5. Ross Henshin will check in. Hinkle will check out.
Well, Bo Fry and Doug Fry said, all right, you guys saw our sweeps. Now we're going to go back up the middle, I think.
Dylan Roby will go wide to the right. Buff will turn to Henshin. Henshin to the 45, to the 40, to the 30, down the sideline. He's knocked out of bounds. Knocked out of bounds at the Franklin 21-yard line.
There you go. Just another trap up the middle, and Braden Ross Henshin just with the quickness. He was probably 12 yards down the field before a lot of the Franklin line even knew where he was.
Absolutely. Roby wide to the right. Henshin up the middle to the 15. If he goes straight, he's got a touchdown. Henshin in the end zone.
What a spark for the St. Mary's Rough Riders. Henshin has been. What a spark. Ross Henshin, a guy that's not even, Joe, on your starting lineup.
Absolutely.
When we start the season. You know,
absolutely.
He's a couple names down there, and over the past 2 weeks, just stepped up and making plays.
Bowers' point after is good. So with the score, the St. Mary's Rough Rider 14 and the Franklin Wildcats 3, with 45 seconds remaining here in the third quarter, we'll take this break. We'll come back right after this.
Even though the music on the patio has come to an end, Guarneri's would like to thank everyone for joining them on the patio on Friday nights. Though the music has ended, stop in and try their signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, or calzone. Guarneri's on Spring Street in St. Mary's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244. Vogel's Bake Shop, making thousands of fresh donuts daily, open 7 days a week with stores in St. Mary's, Salina, and Walpock. Also now found in Wagner's IGA in New Bremen, Minster, and Fort Laramie.
If you're in the market to buy or sell a home, your job is made easy with Scott Ross Realty. Contact one of their hardworking, well-trained agents today at 419-305-4373 for all of your home buying and selling needs. Scott Ross Realty, wishing all Rough Rider sports good luck.
Alrighty, this kickoff is being brought to you by State Farm agent Laura Yelton. Be a legend, insure your life. Aiden Kinzer will be back with Gage Johnson and Cyree Williams to receive the kickoff. It'll be Williams taking it at the 18-yard line. He'll go up the middle, and he is knocked down by number 52. I believe that's Stash Patterson.
There's a marked raise in energy on this
is.
sideline, Joe, and that defense needs to carry it. You know, we've only got 39 seconds left in this third quarter, and it is time for this defense to step up again. Offense got it done, 14-3. Hopefully, we got to keep the defense has to keep them from scoring.
Braden Wood calls the signals. He'll give the ball to Johnson. Johnson will sweep to the right, and he is tackled by the Rough Riders. Tanner Howell over there on the stop. Lucas Walter as well.
Yeah, Tanner Howell just coming in at like a speeding bullet.
We'll give him a gain of 2 on the play. We'll call it 2nd down and 8. The ball setting at the Franklin 34-yard line. 33 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Don't forget our Big Ralph Rider replay will come between the third and fourth quarter. Wood will keep the ball, and he'll go off the right side of his offensive line, and he'll gain about 2 on the play. So it'll bring up 2nd down and 6. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, 3rd down and 6.
Yeah, this is a big 3rd down, Joe. I don't think they're going to go on 4th down from this side of the field.
I don't think so either. We've got 3 receivers wide to the left. Wyland McCollum checks into the ball game for the Rough Riders. They say and run the clock. The play clock. And that's
I think it was stopped because St. Mary's had an injury. Blake Kenor had some sort of issue with his elbow.
Game clock is running. It's down to 10 seconds. Wood steps back to pass, throws the pass, and it is incomplete.
Big stop there on 3rd down. I think Franklin's sending out their punting team.
And
that's a big stop for the defense.
It is. Nice stop. Offense answers with a score. The defense answers with a stop.
Yeah. You know, it's not game-breaking if they let them get a 1st down on their own 36-yard line, but that's a type of drive that Franklin comes down and scores there. All of a sudden, it's 14-10, and they're right back in the game.
Zach Johnson back to do the punting. Froglin and Howell will be standing at their own 25-yard line. 5 seconds remaining. Clock is running. This will be the last play of the third quarter. Nice punt. Ty Howell catches it, and it falls down as the third quarter comes to an end with the score on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. The St. Mary's Rough Riders 14, the Franklin Wildcats 3. It's time now for our Big Ralph Rider replay, brought to you by Guarneri's Pizzeria on Spring Street in St. Mary's, over the signature Big Ralph sub, pizza, and calzone. Come try our thirst-quenching Rider Aid before, during, and after the game. It's Guarneri's. Give them a call at 419-394-2244.
Defensively, it's John Nieder, Ken Walters, Todd Liette, Matt Clemens, Scott Chilcote, and
did you lose sound?
Greg Gottschalk at the end. Glass and Bowman, the linebackers. Here we are, 3rd down and 3. Aaron Link calls the signals. Link turns. He wants to throw the football. He's hit. It's fumbled. John Nieder has it. He's at the 10. He's at the 5. John Nieder, touchdown. Touchdown for the St. Mary's Rough.
Did you guys play the Rider replay? Okay, we can't hear anything. We just got the sound back. All righty, we'll welcome you back to Veteran Memorial Field at Atrium Stadium, Franklin, Ohio. Joe Hurlbert alongside Zach Farrell, where we're getting ready to start the fourth and final quarter. There was a flag on the play, and the Rough Riders were penalized, so they'll start at their own 10-yard line, 12-yard line, 1st and 10. And the Rough Riders look like they fumbled the football, and Franklin say they recover it, but we'll see what the officials say. Still St. Mary's football. Rough Riders can now afford to lose the football at their own 15-yard line. That's the end of the third quarter. With the score on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, it's the St. Mary's Rough Riders 14 and the Franklin Wildcats 3. We'll keep it right here, and I'll tell you what happened for the confusion is that what we thought was the end of the quarter, there was a flag thrown. Well, they put time back up on the clock, and they had 5 seconds to go, and therefore we've ended the third quarter at this point in time.
Were you able to see what the flag was, Joe?
I did not see what the flag was.
It was thrown somewhere in the middle of that return.
We'll find out. I'll find out.
There's a face mask. Okay, so they called a face mask penalty, so they weren't able to let the so the clock was stopped and they had to redo it there. So here we are, fourth quarter. St. Mary's up 14-3.
Well, this is it, fourth and final quarter here at the Division III Region 12 quarterfinal game. Rough Riders on top, 14-3. Full house backfield for the Rough Riders. Here comes Ty Howell to the short side of the field, and he picks up a couple. We'll call it 3rd down and 4. The ball setting at the Rough Rider 18-yard line. Here comes Ethan Freewald into the ball game.
And you really need to see the Rough Riders get this first down here. They've got to eat up some of this clock with this lead. We'd love to see them take it down and score, but they at least need to get a couple first downs.
Absolutely.
Eat up the clock, give their defense a rest.
And if nothing more, push the Franklin Wildcats back on their side of the 50 to start their offensive possession. Kurt Bupp still has the football, and he is tackled for a loss. A big loss on the play.
I'm not sure what that was, Joe. It looked like a bit of a broken play. The running back sort of ran a sweep. Well, it looks like it was a...
It was a legitimate pass play by Kurt Bupp, and he couldn't find anybody open, so he just did what he had to do and just took the sack.
Yeah, it kind of looked like a student body left or right screen type pass type of a play that they were setting up here.
Brandon Bowers will be on to do the kicking. Brett Dalton will be back to receive the punt. The ball snap rolls back. Nice punt by Brewer and a fair catch called by Dalton. So field possession starting to move forward for the Franklin Wildcats as they will now start on the Rough Rider side of the 50-yard line.
Very fortunate there for St. Mary's.
Absolutely.
Bowers was standing inside the end zone, and it was a bad snap. It bounced once, and it just happened to bounce right up to him. Very nice. He's able to get it off, and Franklin wasn't coming with the block that time, but there's still some guys around. 1st and 10 for Franklin at the Rough Rider 42-yard line. Rough Rider defense needs to come up big one more time. Wood looking, the ball's loose! Ball's loose! Oh, Tanner Howell had it and he lost it. Wow.
Good pressure by Blake Condor. He forced the football loose. I think Tanner Howell had it and lost it.
Oh, wow. Yep. Blake Condor knocked it loose. Bounced into Tanner Howell's arms, just kind of like at the Salina game. But this time, he just kind of fell through his arms and one of the Franklin linemen fell on top of it.
Nonetheless, move the football back about 5 yards. It'll be 2nd down and 15 at the 47-yard line of St. Mary's. Braden Wood in the shotgun. He'll go back. He's looking for a receiver. He'll throw it out. He's got one wide open. We've got a flag on the play. The pass was caught by Tyler Woods, but this one's coming back, folks. Holding call on the Franklin Wildcats.
Well, you wondered when you saw Woods roll out to the left like that. A lot of the St. Mary's guys were trying to get over there, and the only way the Franklin lineman could keep him from getting there was holding them.
Absolutely. So this will be 2nd down and a bunch.
They're saying 31 on the scoreboard, Joe.
2nd down and 31. Now here's what the Rough Rider defense has to do, in my opinion. They cannot allow a 1st down.
Right.
That will be demoralizing if they can pick up 31 yards and pick up a 1st down. So the ball is now resting at the Franklin 37-yard line. 9:25 remaining here in the football contest. They're going to do an out and up. And Howell, he got behind Howell, and this is going to go in for a touchdown.
Unbelievable.
Ty Howell mistimed his interception, and it just went over his head, and the pass was complete to Dylan Dirks for a 69-yard touchdown.
Yeah, the Wildcat receiver kind of ran a little flat route, and a couple of the St. Mary's guys, just defensive backs, just bit on it and paused for a second, and Dirks was able to get behind everybody, and he's just wide open. Ty Howell tried to time up a jump there and wasn't able to get back enough.
There comes the point after. It's up, and it is good. So with the score on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard, the St. Mary's Rough Riders 14, the Franklin Wildcats 10. We'll be back with the final 9:13 right after this.
St. Mary's Foundry is a global leader in manufacturing complex iron castings. Our skilled workforce takes pride in producing the highest quality iron castings, weighing up to 60,000 pounds. St. Mary's Foundry wants to take this opportunity to give a big shout out to all our local teams, wishing them a safe and extraordinary season. And speaking of great teams, St. Mary's Foundry would like to thank its very own team of hardworking employees for their loyalty and dedication. If you're looking for rewarding challenges and first-string wages and benefits, check us out at stmfoundry.com or on hometownopportunities.com. St. Mary's Foundry, where iron and ingenuity meet.
All righty, we're back to action here at Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio. Joe Hurlbert alongside Zach Farrell, Rider Nation Station, bringing you all the action. This kickoff return is being brought to you by your State Farm agent, Laura Yelton. Be a legend, insure your life. The kickoff will go to Ty Howell at the 7-yard line, to the 15, to the 20. Up the middle he goes. He's still on his feet, and he'll bring it back to the Rough Rider 38-yard line. 39-yard line is where they're going to spot the football. So a good return for Ty Howell.
I think if he would have had a little bit more balance at the end there, he could have really made it interesting, because there weren't a lot of Franklin guys around when he kind of burst through that line.
Rough Rider offense needs to put a drive together. Give the ball to Ross Henshin up the middle. And he gets a gain of about 1 on the play, so we'll call it 2nd down and 9 for the Rough Riders at their own 35-yard line.
Well, Franklin definitely, the momentum has shifted a bit here. Franklin's coming out with a lot of energy. It's time for the Rough Rider offense to try to quiet him.
Quick pitch. It goes. Who's the ball carrier? Ross Henshin.
It's Ross Henshin again.
Ross Henshin slips a little bit on the play and is brought down by the Franklin defense. And it'll be a loss of about 2 on the play. So we'll call it 3rd down and 11 at the Rough Rider 33. This is a big play for the Rough Rider offense. Ty Howell goes wide to the right. Up the mention goes Henshin. Up the middle goes Henshin. He's going to be way short of a first down. We'll give him a gain of about 4 on the play.
Yeah, the Rough Riders spread him out a little bit and tried to catch him off guard with the Ross Henshin trap up the middle. They almost did it. He broke through there, and he had a lot of room in front of him. He just got a little tripped up.
Cyree Williams will be back to receive the punt for the Franklin Wildcats. He'll be standing at his own 32-yard line. Nice punt by Bowers. Williams will return the football to the 34-yard line. So the Franklin Wildcats will have the football 1st and 10 at their own 34-yard line. 7:24 remaining on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Keep in mind, the Franklin Wildcats had, I forgot what down it was. Second down and 31 to go to pick up a first down and scored on their last possession. So they can score quick when needed. Gage Johnson to the left of Wood. Wood in the shotgun, goes back for the pass. Throws it out, and although they would throw a flag on Troglin, but the pass was thrown over the head of the intended receiver.
Yeah, Troglin definitely hit the receiver a little early there.
Yeah, he did.
But fortunately, the pass was too far out of bounds even to coax a pass interference call. We did learn it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be catchable.
Nope.
But they do have the subjectivity for that.
Dylan Dirks wide to the right. Ryan Russell wide to the left. Wood. Here comes Lucas Walter on the left side, and the pass is intended for Dirks, and it's incomplete. So it'll bring up 3rd down and 10.
Well, 7 minutes left here, Joe. 14-10 St. Mary's. Definitely need the defense to
absolutely rise to this one. Wyland McCollum is in at one of the down tackles for the Rough Riders. 3 receivers to the left, 2 to the right for the Wildcats. Wood, here comes the pressure. Flags are down. There's some jawing going on. Apparently Ryan Russell didn't like what Dylan Troglin did. And I don't know if he did anything, to be honest with you, but they're going to call pass interference, I believe.
Yeah, I'll have to see that again on the replay. I couldn't really tell enough there. I think Troglin was saying that he was just standing still, and the wide receiver kind of ran into him. But he got completely taken out. The wide receiver did, and they called a pass interference.
So it'll be 1st down and 10 for Franklin at their own 49-yard line. 7:10 remaining. Wood in the shotgun. Gives the ball to Gage Johnson. He'll go up the middle. He'll still fighting. We'll give him a gain of about 4 on the play. We'll call it 2nd down and 6. Wildcats now have the football in Rough Rider territory. The ball will be placed at the St. Mary's 47-yard line. 6:43, clock continues to run. Riders lead 14-10 on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Rough Rider defense needs a stop.
Looks like Sire Williams back in, Gage Johnson out.
Wood calls the signals, he steps back, he's going deep. Pass is incomplete. Nice defense there by Troglin. Pass was intended for Dylan Dirks.
I tell you what, that was a very well thrown ball by Woods. And Dylan Dirks had it in his outstretched arms, just couldn't keep it as he came down to the ground.
Very catchable pass. Play clock runs at 25 seconds. The game clock has stopped at 6:14.
I think on this side of the 50, Franklin's probably going to go for it with 6 minutes left here in the fourth quarter.
Third down, and we're going to call it 6 yards to go for a first down for Franklin. Ball at the St. Mary's 47-yard line. Cyree Williams is going to sweep to the left. And he's going to be short of the first down. I think we're going to give him a gain of about 3, I believe.
Great job there in the open field by Trey Fisher.
It'll be fourth down, and we'll call it 2 for the Franklin Wildcats. The football is setting at the St. Mary's 43-yard line. Or excuse me, 43-yard line. Clock continues to run, 5:38 remaining in the game. Rough Riders lead 14-10.
Fourth and 2. You're going to be.
Now we've got a timeout on the field called by the Franklin Wildcats. So again, with 5 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter, in St. Mary's leads 14-10. We'll take a break. We'll come right back right after this.
If you're looking to renovate your home, former Rough Rider football standout Craig Hewer is your go-to man. Hewer Renovating is an all-phase residential specialist with over 40 years experience and an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Improve your investment by giving Hewer Renovating a call at 419-394-8643.
Auglaize Equipment Rental is your source for all your equipment needs. Whether you're a contractor or a homeowner with a project, we can help get the job done more efficiently. Check us out at 1900 Salina Road or auglaizeequipmentrental.com or just call 419-394-7883. Auglaize Equipment Rental.
All righty, it'll be fourth down and 2. Back to action here at Atrium Stadium. Wood in the shotgun. Give the ball to Johnson. And he's got the first down and more as he runs off the left side of his offensive line, and he is led there by senior tackle Nick Back, 310 pounds. Franklin in somewhat of a hurry-up type of offense. Wood will keep the football as he fakes to Johnson, and he'll gain about 3 on the play.
Yeah, before that timeout, Joe, I was going to say, that at fourth and 2, if I got Gage Johnson, I'm definitely giving him the ball there. Rough Riders have been able to stop him most of the night. Or Rough Riders haven't been able to stop him for a couple yards at least most of the night.
We'll call it second down and 6 after a gain of 4. 2 receivers left, 2 receivers right. Wood in the shotgun. Give the ball to Johnson. He goes up the middle and he's stopped. Good defensive play right there by Paul.
Well, 3rd and 6. Here we are again, Joe. This has been quite the drive for Franklin, making these third and 4th down conversions.
Dirks will go wide to the right. Woods all by himself. He's going to go straight back. Here comes Walters. Walters got a hold of him, and he breaks tackle. And he across the 30-yard line, and he's going to pick up going to be close to a first down. Again, Lucas Walter had a hand on him, and Braden Wood was just able to elude him. And he's going to be 4th down, and he's going to be short.
Yeah, it's too bad Lucas Walter had him in the backfield for a solid loss of 5-6 yards. Wood's able to evade him. Now 4th and short again.
4th down, and we'll call it a short one for a first down. Wood in the shotgun will give the ball to Johnson. and he's going to pick up a first down. He's going to pick up a first down, I believe. They're going to mark the football at the Rough Rider 25-yard line.
Yeah, it was a good hit by St. Mary's. It looked like the ball rolled out a little bit, but he didn't need much.
1st and 10 for the Franklin Wildcats. Clock continues to roll. 3 minutes and 14 seconds remaining. The ball is at the Rough Rider 26-yard line.
Three timeouts remaining for St. Mary's, 2 for Franklin. That could come in big here.
Dirks wide to the right. Wood looking to the left. He's got a receiver out there, and it is incomplete as the pass was intended for, I believe, number 2. That's Ryan Russell. So it'll bring up 2nd down and 10 as Carson Fishbach was step for step with him.
Great coverage by Carson Fishbach. Step for step with him and put his hands up at perfect timing to block that pass. Might have been, even if it was caught, it might have been out of bounds anyway where it was thrown, but Franklin definitely,
We've got a timeout on the field called by the Franklin Wildcats. They'll chew up another one, so with 2 minutes and 43 seconds remaining here in the contest, it's the Rough Riders 14, the Franklin Wildcats 10 on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. Back right after this.
Varsity Lanes, home of the Rough Riders 2018-19 Boys and Girls State Bowling Champions. Striking up delicious food, 32 taps, Queen of Hearts, and nightly food and drink specials with a great family atmosphere. Carry-out is available. Stop in and see us after the game. Go Riders! Unique Awards and Signs, here to take care of your signage, graphic award, and gift customization needs. From banners for your graduate or corporate sponsors to awards recognizing those dedicated employees or champion sport teams. Stop in at 1865 Salina Road or call us at 419-394-1612. Here to help make life go right is your local Good Neighbor State Farm agent, Laura Yelton, with 30 years experience. Visit Laura and her team located in downtown St. Mary's for your auto, home, banking, and life insurance needs. Be a legend. Ensure your life.
All righty, back to action at Atrium Stadium. Wood goes straight back to pass. He's going to throw one over the middle, and it's incomplete. Good pressure by the Rough Rider defense. Pass was intended for number 13, Tyler Woods. And that'll bring up 3rd down and 10 for Franklin. 2:38 remaining here in the football contest.
Joe, as you alluded to, the St. Mary's defensive line broke up that play with their pressure on Woods because he had that receiver across the middle pretty open, just wasn't able to get a good pass to him.
Dylan Dirks will go wide to the right. Russell wide to the left. Wood drops straight back. He's being flushed out of the pocket. And the pass is incomplete. Pass was intended for Russell. It was intended for Gage.
Gage Johnson.
And he just dropped it. Gage Johnson just dropped the pass.
It was in his breadbasket, as they say, Joe.
This is a big play right now for the Rough Rider defense. 4th down and 10. 2:32 remaining. The ball is setting at the St. Mary's 26-yard line. This is a big play for the Rough Rider defense. The Rough Rider fans below us, they're on their feet.
This is when you need to see your seniors, see your star players step up. Blake Knorr, we need the pressure in the backfield.
And Franklin burns another timeout. So with 2 minutes and 32 seconds remaining, Rough Riders on top 14-10 on the St. Mary's Foundry scoreboard. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Do you find yourself faced with injustice or confronted with a legal matter that you need help resolving? If so, call attorney David Walbacher at 216-225-9181. That's attorney David Walbacher for all your legal needs.
All righty, back at Atrium Stadium. Joe Hurlbert alongside Zach Farrell. Rider Nation Station, glad to have you along on this playoff Friday night as the St. Mary's Rough Riders and the Franklin Wildcats do battle in this Division 12 regional quarterfinal game. During the timeout, Tanner Howe was down. He's got a Charlie horse in the back of his leg, and they were trying to stretch him out. The fans below are on their feet. Dirks will go wide to the right. Cyree Williams to the right of Wood. Here's the snap. He goes back to pass. He's looking deep. He's got a pass is complete to number 2. That's Ryan Russell, and that'll be enough for a first down.
Well, it wasn't anything special. He just ran about a 15-yard stop, and the St. Mary's defender was just playing behind him. It was just a wide open area of the zone. And Franklin's looking to score here, Joey. Obviously, 3 points is not going to help them. Down 14-10. They need a touchdown. This is when St. Mary's defense has stepped up all year in the red zone.
Franklin has no timeouts remaining. They'll give the football to Johnson. Johnson will get it down to about the 6-yard line. .210 remaining here in the football contest. We'll give him a gain of about 5, so the ball will be placed at the Rough Rider 6-yard line. Second down, and we'll call it 4. They can still get a first down. I look for Gage Johnson to just take it right up the middle, and he does, and the Rough Rider defense is there.
Yeah, it's not going to be a lot of anything
fancy.
Too fancy. If you got Gage Johnson, the way he's been able to run tonight, you're going to look in the middle a lot. Maybe you think about faking it to him and having Woods go around the corner. But this defense stopped him in the red zone once, stopped him on the 1-yard line once tonight.
1:16 remaining, clock is running. If this is anything other than Gage Johnson, I'll be surprised. And it is, and he falls down.
Oh my gosh.
Knee goes down, and that'll be a loss of about 1 on the play.
Big break that time for St. Mary's.
And that'll bring up 4th down.
Oh my gosh. Tried to make a cut and just slipped.
4th down and 5 for a first down. Fourth and 4 at the 6. This is the big down for the Rough Rider defense. 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Give the ball to Johnson, and he's not going to make it. He's stopped. The Rough Rider defense rose to the occasion and stopped Johnson short of the first down.
And that's the ball game, folks.
That's going to be it.
23 seconds left. No timeouts for Franklin. This St. Mary's defense that stepped up so many times tonight gets it done one final time in the red zone. That is a bend, don't break defense.
Absolutely. And the Rough Riders will come out. And if Kurt Bupp doesn't do anything but take a knee, I'll be surprised.
If Kurt Bupp comes out and doesn't take a knee, I'm going to run out in the field. And
I think the Rough Riders did call a timeout. So I think head coach Doug Fry is going to go out and talk to his offense, and he's going to say, protect the football. Boy, what a defensive stop for the St. Mary's Rough Riders. 2 big defensive stops.
Yep.
So the Rough Riders will live to play another day. 23 seconds remaining, 14-10, no timeouts for Franklin. The Rough Riders will move on to the Division III regional semifinal game. They will take on the winner of the Walpock Trotwood Madison game. And do you have a score on that by any chance?
Let me pull it up here. Just an outstanding effort there by the St. Mary's defense. Just a lot of effort, just a Donnybrook effort.
Kurt Bupp takes a knee, and this one's over. And the St. Mary's Rough Riders defeat the Franklin Wildcats 14-10 in the Division III Regional 12 quarterfinal game. Now we got a flag on the play.
I think one of the Franklin guys took his helmet off. Might have said something to one of the officials.
Now wait a minute. The clock is stopped. Now there's zeros. When the flag was thrown, I looked up. There was 2 seconds on the clock.
They're pulling the teams back off the field. They were lined up ready to shake hands. Not sure what's going on here.
Well, the officials are huddled.
Joe, while we're waiting, the Trotwood Rams are up on the Walpock Redskins 27-14 in the fourth quarter.
So it could very well be the St. Mary's Rough Riders and the Trotwood
Rams.
Madison Rams. They will meet in the Division III Region 12 semifinal game at a site to be determined. Where did you say that could possibly be? Down around Piqua, Troy, possibly?
Yeah, you got to think Troy, Piqua, or Sidney.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree.
I hope it wouldn't be somewhere like Wayne, because that's not very far for Trotwood, and it's a lot farther for St. Mary's. But yeah, you got to think Sidney, Piqua, maybe Troy.
Well, as I look to my left, the clock is at zeros. This game is over. And the final score, the St. Mary's Rough Riders defeat the Franklin Wildcats by a score of 14-10. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at some stats and wrap things up as we prepare to move on to take on possibly the Trotwood Madison Rams in the Division III Regional 12 semifinal game at a site to be determined at a later time. But once again, the final score, the St. Mary's Rough Riders 14, the Franklin Wildcats 10.
Fellowship of Christian Athletes is a middle school and high school club looking to spread God's love throughout numerous schools and communities of our local area. FCA's favorite play of the game is both teams joining together in prayer at the conclusion of the game. God bless you, sports fans.
Well, it was a lot of Rough Rider defense. They played big when they had to play big. They played big here in the final moments of the ball game. They had a defensive stand in the first quarter, and the Rough Riders are coming over to thank the Rough Rider faithful for showing up here tonight.
I tell you what also was a huge play, Joe, was that blocked field goal, because if that field goal wouldn't have been blocked, it might have been 14-13 down here, and Franklin could have easily kicked a field goal. Yeah, they probably wouldn't have been going there on that fourth down. They probably would have been kicking a field goal. So,
well, let's take a look at the numbers in this ball game, and we'll wrap things up and head north.
For St. Mary's, they had 10 first downs. Franklin had 15 first downs. Total yards for St. Mary's, 186 to Franklin's 254. The passing completions for St. Mary's was 2 for 4 with 1 interception. Franklin was 11 for 20 with 1 touchdown. Passing yards, St. Mary's 19 to Franklin's 167. Rushing attempts, 34 for St. Mary's for 167 yards. 38 for Franklin for 87. 1 fumble for St. Mary's, but it wasn't lost. 1 fumble for Franklin, and it was not lost. 6 penalties for St. Mary's for 66 yards. 6 for Franklin for 41 yards. Third down conversions for Franklin, 3 for 9. Third down conversions for St. Mary's was 3 for 9. For Franklin, just 2 for 13. Average drive start for St. Mary's was 27. Average drive start for Franklin was 33. Time of possession, St. Mary's 16 minutes, Franklin 31. So what you see in those team stats, Joe, are Franklin racked up a lot of yards on that last drive, but the St. Mary's defense bent but didn't break. Held him there. Individually for St. Mary's, Kurt Bupp was 2 for 3 for 19 yards passing. Ross Henchen, your leading rusher tonight for St. Mary's, 13 rushes for 124 yards and that pivotal touchdown there in the second half. Ty Howe helped out around the edge with another 7 rushes for 31 yards and a touchdown. Dylan Troglin was the leading receiver for St. Mary's with just 1 catch for 14 yards. Kurt Bupp actually rushed the ball 6 times for 6 yards. Aiden Hinkle rushed 3 times for 9 yards. For Trotwood, Braden Woods passing tonight was 11 for 20 for 167 yards. His longest was that 63-yard touchdown. For the rushing for Franklin, Gage Johnson had 22 rushes for 74 yards. Braden Woods had 11 rushes for 1 yard. And Cyree Williams had 3 rushes for 7 yards. On receiving for Franklin, Ryan Russell, 4 catches, thrown to 6 times, had 44 yards. Dylan Dirks, 2 catches for 71 yards. Of course, he had that long 63-yard touchdown pass. And Tyler Woods, 2 catches for 3 yards. A couple things in my mind, Joe, in that last drive, Franklin just had a couple of passes that were dropped as well. Would have been really interesting to see if they would have got those, but credit to St. Mary's defense for stepping up, never really stopping the effort to get in the backfield or to cause some tough passes from Woods. Also, great job by the St. Mary's defense in stepping up and stopping Gage Johnson tonight. Those are our 2 keys to the game, really, stopping Woods and Johnson by the St. Mary's defense, and we thought that the offense and special teams could take care of the rest.
Well, the Rough Rider defense played extremely well. Of course, they had the goal line stands in the first quarter. They had the big stop here as the time was winding down. They had one faux pas, if you will, and that was a misjudged interception attempt by Ty Howe that allowed the Franklin receiver to get behind him and score. That was probably the biggest play of the game. That was obviously the biggest play for the Franklin Wildcats. But again, when the Rough Rider defense needed it, they rose up big in this ball game.
Yeah, and again, we saw special teams rise up with that big block field goal.
So that's going to do it here from Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio. We hope you enjoyed it here on Rider Nation Station. And again, we want to remind you that we will again bring you another edition of the Doug Fry Show next week, as well as rules of the game. And are you guys doing that again from Guarneri's?
We are doing it from Guarneri's on Thursday night at 7:30.
Super.
And keep in mind, if you want to be able to catch all of the videos that Rider Nation Station is putting out, be sure to click subscribe on the YouTube page. Be sure to like our Facebook page. Share both of those so that the Rider Nation Station grows and can keep bringing you these wonderful things. So we thank you again to all of our listeners and to our sponsors tonight. Got to give a big shout out to our crew as well.
Absolutely.
The Anderson brothers,
absolutely.
Scott and Eric, and then Logan Yelton as well. It's not a warm night, as we alluded to, and they're out on the field with the cameras doing a great job. Some really great cinematography tonight from them.
Well, that's going to conclude it here from Atrium Stadium in Franklin, Ohio. Once again, the final score, the St. Mary's Rough Riders 14, the Franklin Wildcats 10. With the win, the St. Mary's Rough Riders run their record to 9-2. And, of course, it seems to me that we're going to be playing possibly Trotwood as they were defeating the Wapakoneta Redskins in the fourth quarter, 28-14. So we'll know who we actually play and where we're going to play later on. So once again, for our entire Rider Nation Station crew, for Zach Farrell, I'm Joe Hurlbert. Again, the Rough Riders win this one 14-10 to move on to the Division III, Region 12 semifinal game, which we will have for you next week. So once again, final score, 14-10. So long from Atrium Stadium.
Have you heard about TSC's referral program? Refer your friends and family, and you both get a credit matching the services they chose. That's right, we'll credit your invoice. There's no limit to the number of friends you can refer. So come back to your local hometown provider and bring your friends and family with you. We'll reward you both.
TSC. Give us a call and see. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Call TSC.